Okay, sorry for the delay. Welcome Golf Committee, Spirit Golf, two members from the public for the February Golf Committee meeting. Give you guys the floor. Tonight also, James McCartney's here, our liaison. James, a couple new members that you probably met in session. Okay, good. Go ahead, guys.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you. Welcome to the committee. Good to see you all this evening. As usual, we'll try and make good and efficient use of all your time tonight, and go through a couple bullet points of what's currently happening at the Makefield Highlands. At the moment, if you go by your agenda, we spoke in between meetings a little bit about a new app that we're using at the club. And, and just to preface this meeting a little bit, there's a lot of in between right now. We're about to kick off a new POS system. With that comes some bells and whistles. This Metolius that we're mentioning here on the first bullet point is part of that. That's one of the new bells and whistles that'll be part of this new POS system for us. So what I think will happen, it will really advance us and help us get some of the reporting that will help us and help the committee understand better what's going on in a cleaner, more efficient way. So we're really looking forward to it, but we are just getting our hands into it now. So what I provided you in your packets there are some snapshots of what we and some of the creators of Metolius did together this week to put this together for you for this meeting. So basically what we've done with this app, Metolius, is we've downloaded a lot of our history into this app as much as we can. And we're able to kind of really customize and pinpoint some reporting that'll help us all. So, the weather, it's done by region and all that. If we go through each bullet point, because there really is some good information here. If you look at weather first, the overall weather was unfavorable in 2024, and that's based on playable hours. And just like Golf Now does their weather reports, it's playable hours. 3.2 fewer playable hours, which, may seem not exactly right based on the summer we had, but you take the year as a whole, we really had a lot of rain bookended before the summer and after the summer. So if you keep that in mind, this is pretty accurate. Unplayable weather conditions up 34% year over year. And again, that is a lot in the off season. That's a lot in the off season, but it still counts. So the date range, April to October, weather was basically flat. So in season, the weather wasn't bad. Is very similar year over year. But if you look at the edges of the season, that's where we kind of see a lot of difference. So rev to par is up 13% year over year. So some good numbers based on being able to use the positive weather times pretty efficiently and to the best of our ability there. So that's just a snapshot of weather. What's really more interesting, if we can go to revenue next. And what we're able to do is really kind of create some parameters inside Metolius to give us specifically the information you want. So if there's going to be very specific information that the committee wants, I think we could dial in quite nicely to the specific information that you want and be able to create reporting based on that. What we'll do as the operator, we'll create some of that information anyway. Total revenue, 6% up year over year. Green fees accounted for 42% of our revenue. And the average fee was up 3.6% year over year, the average fee. So carts accounted for 12% of the revenue, which was up 3.4%. And then big number banquet revenue grew quite a bit. And some of that is in the way that we've adjusted how we calculate what's banquet revenue. In the past, there were some GLs that we cleaned up. So that's a little misleading up front, but we still had a big year and overall the best year we ever had on the banquet side of the business at Makefield. So like I said, we're just getting our hands into this. So we're just kind of learning the app, understanding the reporting. So it'll get cleaner as we go. But these are some bullet points that all stood out from the get-go. And then outside of the banquet, we had some of the a la carte was down just slightly, almost flat, but down about 1% year over year. So interesting kind of highlights there to kind of look at. But again, just trying to get this organized for the first time around with this reporting.
Hey, KB,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt the presentation, but
Mhm.
first of all, Ross over at Metolius, sharp dude,
Yes, very.
very sharp dude. Is the next step to use the AI features that he has? I mean, he's doing some stuff with AI in golf right now. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
We had a great meeting with them this week,
Okay.
and we are tiptoeing into that. Yes. So we have more meetings with them scheduled in the next week and a half. And we're trying to align everything with the launch of Club Caddie that we're going to use moving forward. So we're uniforming
Sure.
all of that information together. But yes, we are getting into the.
So the data, and I know that's probably a question you're not ready for because you're just getting into it.
Mhm.
Can it go multi-year, or is it only year-to-year comparison? Can you get a look back of like a 2 to 3 year average? Because as we've all been in the business a long time, I mean, year-to-year ebbs and flows is one thing, but what's the historical patterns look
Couple
like?
things. Yes, we can. So with our length of 4-up that we've had, we'll be able to go back that far, which is about 5 years. Before that, we had other systems. We had T-Snap, and then we had club systems, and I think we had club profits even before that. So we don't have that historical data loaded into Metolius just yet. We're working on ways to see if we can. We did do some downloads at the time when we moved on to other systems, but for sure, we'll be able to get the 4-up historical view, which is about 5 years.
And just to follow, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, because as you know, that DRR, which is archaic in today's world, but that I use is it's got that 3-year snapshot on any one of the periods, as well as the year. So that's what I was curious about it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kevin, to kind of follow up on Kevin with 4-up, as Kevin mentioned, the 5-year window, but we have a 10-year historical that we have, on our Google Drive that I just backed up last year. Mike had asked, because we were doing a different form. So we have the 2010 all the way through 2024 as a statistical report on our drive through Spirit. So we're going to use those other years that weren't captured in 4-up and kind of merge it all to make it a 14
manual,
window.
archaic
Yeah.
reporting.
All right, I lied. I have one more question.
Sure.
Are these on the reservation page, the APR? Is that an annualized resident senior, non-resident senior? Are those annualized APRs, or is that in a specific period?
That is in a specific period.
Okay.
It's not annualized at this point. But like I said, meeting 1.5 in the books, jumped into it, spent deep into the night the other night on my own, kind of playing around, trying to learn the system, but not quite there yet. But we plan for the next meeting to have much more to offer.
Yeah, and as Kevin mentioned, to be able to build the dashboard, how the committee sees it and we see it, to be able to kind of stay consistent with the platform is something we can do along with them, to make it consistent. So we're excited.
What would be good is once you guys, your next meeting, so now you're 2.5, 3, wherever you end up, if some of us from the committee could come over and go through it and say, okay, let's look at some of these slides. These are hard to read.
Yeah.
So we have to figure that piece out as well. And then to the extent, James, we could make some of this available if people are interested, at the right time.
Totally agree, Rich. We'll make this accessible for you and readable. Again, just new to it. And I think that the whole point of this was to get some better reporting for you all and specifically to what you want. And I think, obviously as an operator, Alan, you'll understand we have certain reports that are Bible to us that we'll live by and want to use every day and see every day. But you guys may just have something that is, comes up midsummer that you think about that you want to report on, and we'll be able to do that. So.
No, great.
Kevin and Ed, on that revenues page, what is that last item? It's the orange item on the column. I really can't see it, but I'm just curious. It's a big nut.
You're talking about.
Copies are at 12%.
It's okay if you can't see it either.
I can get back to
I'm
that.
sure we can get more detail later.
Yeah.
get back to that for you. Again, I'm trying to stress that it's just infancy stage, but I promise I'll be much more adept as we move forward. And then these numbers were obvious. I didn't need these reports to tell me that green fee revenue based off last year was stellar and up 5.7%. Overall rounds up 3.1%, just over 53,000 rounds for the year. That's all in outings and 18-hole rounds, 9-hole rounds, everything we have, just over 53,000. And then you see your breakdowns between non-resident, resident, senior, rich. And I think that was a question, right? Where the senior rate stands in town and the resident senior rate and how that affects the overall green fee, dollar per round and such. So that's something we'll dig into some more as we move forward. So 67% of the rounds were 18 holes with all the leagues we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night. That's about right. So so this is just a snapshot of what we're moving forward and trying to get out of the pen and paper stage a little bit and move into stuff that you can access and take a look at and understand as we move forward. So any more questions there? No.
Given the lead wise, not clear what you were trying to get at.
So that I was just saying that number is accurate. So we do an awful lot of league rounds, which are 9 holes. So the other 33% of the rounds that aren't mentioned in the 8 are all mostly devoted to league rounds, which are 9-hole rounds.
Of the 48,000 rounds, if I play like 12 times, so I have now played 12 9-hole rounds. Telling me that I'm struggling with the numbers. Anybody else have a problem?
Okay, Kev, so in the golf industry, you could, golf industry, you can measure one of two ways. You can measure number of starts or you can measure 18-hole equivalents. Correct. A true representation is the number of starts. How many times somebody goes off that tee, because you're in the business of selling time, whether that's a 9-hole round, 18-hole, how many times does somebody go off that first tee box?
I played 12. Really counting me as
Start.
Right.
As a start.
No,
What we
you're
should do is
counting
verify-
12.
12
Well,
starts.
12 starts.
12
What we should do is verify if
12
this number is 18-hole equivalents or starts. My guess is it's 18-hole equivalents because we saw 54,000 the last time you were here. So I'm guessing this is, and that math would work when you look at 9-hole rounds.
Mhm.
So I'm guessing this is 18-hole equivalents, the 48,000 number.
Right. That's just looking at the type of rounds that are involved in this chart. That's not every round that went through the register.
Right.
So that's just reflective of the 18 holders?
Mhm. This is the way we've always calculated the rounds.
I'll actually ask the question to you guys.
Mhm.
What can we do to help you? Like 54,000 rounds of golf on an 18-hole golf course?
Well, I think what we're going to get to is the rates. We'll get to the rates. I think we'll get to the rate, Alan. I think we'll talk about the rate and where the rate has to go to maybe get the rounds to a more reasonable level. And I don't know what reasonable is post-COVID anymore. But 54,000 rounds is a lot on the turf. It's a lot on the staff, and it's a lot on the public to try and find times and get availability to play. It's stressful in many areas of the business. So I think that's an ongoing discussion that we'll have. And I think that is just, it's interesting to say, oh, we do 54,000 rounds. I didn't know, we're busy. Sorry, you're 3 weeks booked out. All that kind of stuff it's okay to say, but it's really not all that helpful all the time for the poor resident that has been trying for weeks to play and can't get out because he can't get a tee time. So I think that's going to start with a rate conversation. Maybe the rate's got to move to lower the starts and find the balance.
Right.
But input from the committee is also
Absolutely.
So
I'll just
I
share.
see it.
one.
Yeah.
I'll just share one. So
Yep.
as you know, I run a 27 holer. We do 46,000 rounds of golf on 27 holes,
Mhm.
albeit our rate is at a significantly higher rate.
Mhm.
And we manage it accordingly because it's either rate or volume.
Mhm.
And if you get one way or too far,
Right.
you don't have customers.
Right.
You get one way or the other too far,
right.
you may not have a golf course.
Right.
Correct.
And I think the resident, non-resident balance is very important, and finding where that median is, and that comfortable balance is going to be the trick here. It's not straight public where we could, be really dynamic with how we want to, place those rates and those fees. So there is a balance with the residents and the non-residents, and seeing where that fits.
I would expect that you're actually going to see pretty consistent over the last few years on the residents. This number is actually higher than I expected for the residents.
Mhm.
So, I think the other question, and I don't know how you feel about this, is tee times, right? So we do 10-minute times.
Mhm.
So if Yardley does 8-minute times and it just doesn't work, right? But the difference is they can go out and say something to somebody, write them a letter and kick them off the course. We don't do that, so 10 minutes, maybe we talked about, longer times at certain, going to 11, 12. I know you guys do that, right? You stack it at certain times
We
of the day.
used to,
Since
right.
I showed up.
Yeah. We used to, on the back end of COVID, we were in that 12-minute range for the bulk of the day, from about 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock. The first 2.5, 3 hours in the morning, we're at 10s. And then, later in the afternoon, we're at 10s. One of the things Kevin and I and Spirit as a whole, when we were looking at just the tee sheet last year, like where can we just, be mindful of pace, revenue, route. So we just kind of went back to our 10 minutes from AM to PM last year. And it seemed to really, we were able to manage it pretty well. The one area that we stayed at 6:30, pre-COVID, we used to start in the middle of the summer. First tee time used to be 6 a.m. And the stress there really became on the maintenance staff. And the part of that was because those of you that, I know most of you have played, and I know, Alan, you've got a 27 hole, but at Makefield, we have the back nine early bird and the front nine. So, to kind of prep both sides of the golf course at that hour was really stressful for Mark and his crew. So after COVID, we thought that 30-minute window to start in the middle of the season at 6:30 is kind of where we stayed. Even though with Kevin's guidance and Mike and others, when we were looking at our tee sheet as a whole from tee times, that bulk of the day from 11 to 3, when it used to be 12s, we went back to 10, and we were really able to manage that pretty well. Moving it back to 6 a.m., we stayed kind of at 6:30, and I think that was the right call across the board. So, and that's even at 53.9 or 57,000 at 6:30. Some of the other properties, I know we manage Five Ponds, and Kevin was there for a number of years, but they were there at 6 a.m. for, I think, weekends, right? So there's other golf courses that start earlier. We used to, but we stayed at 6:30.
Yeah, and back to Alan's point, I don't think we're looking to add rounds of golf or starts to the program here. But obviously you want to keep the revenue in check and growing. So, and the other piece of that, I think, is to understand that we want to continue to evolve and allow more people to play and create different opportunities to play, whether that's different times for outings, different times for events and leagues, and we can always play with the tee sheet in that way. But as far as expanding times or decreasing times, I think 10 minutes is comfortable. I'd be interested in, the first, get your speed players out, Rich, get your fast players out early, and you could do 8-minute tee times then for the first hour and a half or 2 hours a day, and then settle in for the rest of the day. That could be an option, but I don't see anything in the middle of the day adjusting the
I wouldn't go to 8 minutes. I would
intervals.
go to 12, or I'd go
early.
You're not going to get me there at 6 a.m. anymore. But and the reality is, with all respect to the people opening the pro shop, it's too early for them. It's great when the first tee time is at 6:30 and Eileen is there at 6 o'clock.
Mhm.
on a Sunday because you have time to go warm up, you do all that, you know.
I wasn't talking about going early. I was just talking about the first 2 hours of tee times of the day.
Yeah, I wouldn't go to 8 minutes in bed. I wouldn't do that.
Right.
I don't want to speak for the other golfers here, but
I'm just saying the pace of play could handle it at that hour versus the rest of the day.
I don't believe that.
Okay.
Yeah, I really don't. I think you'll be on
Yep.
top. I think you'll be on top of each other.
Under my watch, we went 10 minutes throughout the day. This is just a conversation, but I'm comfortable with the 10 minutes
Yeah,
throughout the day.
I'm comfortable with the 10. I'm suggesting you go 12.
Yeah, and we were at 10s, mainly, and then we went to 12. So we're comfortable with that. But
Yeah.
I think Kevin's pointed that first hour and a half is, hence with our golf cart monitor system, we could, adjust timing. We can monitor the first 2 hours of the day at a much faster clip, maybe a 405 or 355. So we're managing that first hour and a half of the day at a faster pace versus the bulk of the days at 428 is what it's managed at. So
And those carts, that's not an interactive system though, is it? Like if you see someone falling behind the pace, there's no message sent to them, is there?
no, because it's just like a device that's pegging the golf cart. We, the staff, would then go communicate with the golfer. So there's nothing we could like peg the golf cart. It's, a display mechanism or anything.
It's
No.
like an air tag that we can
Basically.
only see.
Would you consider that on the next gen carts? Because I find that helpful if I'm playing at a straight
Yeah.
course and it tells you you're 4 minutes behind the pace. We know to pick it up.
It's possible. I mean, I know when we go to, to the bidding process, that could be something we could, put in the bid and see what it comes down to. So the nice thing too is with our point of sale on our tee sheet, when and if the customer is booked with their cell phone within their profile, we can actually send text or push a notification to a cell phone in the foursome. If Dennis Wysocki was playing, you guys are always flying, but if you were off pace and I sent you or Billy some, it would come right through. So, but sometimes the profiles are set with non-cell phone numbers, so we're not as consistent with that, but
You'd probably be telling us to slow down because we're going to run into the early birds on the back.
that is true. But yeah, the communication there and, and our outside staff, I'm kind of bringing back some of the middle of the day kind of course monitor. We could call that staff person a ranger or, we've had outside service in the last couple of years that have kind of been in little different areas. And then when we see an issue, we have them go out. So I think we're going to kind of go back to like a 10 to 3, or like an 8 to 3 window where we have someone on course and a lot of times too, it could just be for safety or a quick question or something happens or whatever it might be. If we can't get to the phone fast enough at the counter to eliminate an issue, pace is always going to be something we're going to be, try to put our best foot forward. So, but thank you for the question and the comments there. To kind of piggyback on just the golf course, obviously not much to update for January. Pretty cold winter it's been, as you all know. So, truthfully, we're only open for 2 days in the month. Had a lot of snow cover, and fortunately, it wasn't ice, which was good. But a lot of cleanup, a lot of things done in the shop. We're cleaning up a lot. Obviously, going through a lot of admin time in the back office, which has been good, and calendar of events. As mentioned, Club Caddie is certainly on the horizon as our new point of sale. And with that, one of the features that came with that system, not just the reporting, was also an online registration portal. So I know some of those in the room that are in our leagues, both our ladies and our men's league, and our association for both men's and ladies. Those online portals are now digital, so the customer can, for the groups that are returning customers, we always give our ladies kind of a 4-week window to pre-register before we open it up to any new players. Returning Wednesday men's leagues, we do the same thing, and our association players. So nice part about that is our previous system, as you all are probably familiar with, you would still go on your end, on the customer side, you would still, put the product in the checkout window, you'd go to your checkout, you would put your credit card information in. It was pretty seamless. But on the admin side, on our side, we would get all the orders, and then we'd have to manually go to the point of sale and do every transaction, then shred all the information for security purposes. It was a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So with this new system, as you look at some of the numbers just in a couple of days, and this is pretty consistent. I'm sure most of you all know this with the number of players we have. All told with our men's league in a couple of days, we had 39 registered and collected a little over 19,000. This was as of the 20th of February. We had 26 ladies that pre-registered, and a little over 13,000. And our association, we were close to 40. We had 38 players registered and a little over 10,000. So bottom line is, in about 3 days, we tallied over 43,000, and which is normal. That's pretty normal, but we didn't have to manually do those transactions. So it was a huge, and then all the security, shredding of the documents to make sure all of you that played are secure. So there's a lot of those little features behind the scene, and it's an easier process for the customer too. So that's been going pretty well. Joe, our assistant Joe, and our junior coordinator, he has everything kind of pre-stamped, and parents and the Parks and Rec have been tied into it as far as saving the dates for our camps and summer clinics and all that stuff. Everything gets open for registration on March 10th. Same process. We'll be going through that same online process as well. So happy to have that going pretty smoothly so far. And, excited to see all of our leagues and our associations kind of fill up pretty quick. That's a good problem to have. And for the groups that are, if it's a Wednesday group or a ladies group on Monday, if we're a little short of our magic number, we're fortunate to have a pretty high demand, and our wait list kind of goes in order there. So thank you all for those that have played and continue to participate, and our association, both ladies and men. Our association continues to grow. Thank you for all the support across the table here. And, our ladies group continues to grow as well. And hopefully this year last year we had about 12 to 16. Hopefully this year we'll get maybe a little bit more, so, we'll keep continuing to push like we always do. And we welcome all the new players as well. So, registration's been going pretty well.
Any questions on that with Ed?
Yes, how many of the 38 players?
There's of the 30, I would say probably 6 right now. Oh, yeah. You're welcome.
As you're trying to find that balance between like the pricing and the volume, is there a desire, and this is something maybe you'd be interested in too, like to increase the amount of resident participation? Because it stands now at about 25%. I know Rich thought that was higher than expectations,
Yeah.
but would that be one of the things to, like, would you, maybe shift the balance a little bit to charge more for non-resident and less for resident to kind of increase the resident participation?
Well, I think right now as it stands, the way the rate is on the weekends, the rack rate is 84 for the non-resident, and it's 69 for the resident. So, with having that extra week, and there's when you look at some of the other courses, the variance between resident and non, we actually have a bigger gap than a lot of other courses. So
That's
yeah. So I'm not, I think, I think one of the things we talked about as a committee is, bundling that 3%, processing fee into the new rate. So it doesn't show kind of as an added fee. So that's part of the increase, but, I'm not sure what that right answer is. As far as, what can we do to get it? I don't see the resident rate decreasing, if that's what you were suggesting. I'm not.
Well, or just changing the difference again, because I don't know if there is a secondary desire to make it more used by residents. 25% to me seems low. 50-50 maybe sounds, but I don't know if you can do things with the pricing to adjust it that way. You probably can't do anything in one fell swoop, but I just don't know if that's a secondary objective somehow to think about that as we're going through the balancing.
Philosophically, I think we just have to decide what we want to do. And if it's a revenue-based conversation, maybe where it is okay. And it's it's always encouraging to the residents that this is their golf course and they have first access to it. You know, I don't know where to go if you want to lower the price to offer more to that.
I'm not necessarily saying lower, but I was just, and we don't have to belabor it any farther, but just create more of an incentive for the residents to play. And if you had no outside players, would we fill the course up with residents? I
No.
guess.
No chance.
Okay.
No. 40% would probably be the highest.
Okay.
70-30 is probably where I know the numbers here are a little under that 30%, but it's been a 70-30 for the 15 years I've been here. When we've been encouraging, more and more residents to play as best they can. So, but yeah, I think 40% would be the high.
Things that I have been struck on many years is the large number of foursomes that come here of young guys that sort of play this almost as a quote unquote destination kind of place because they've heard of it. And none of them are residents. They come from northern New Jersey or around New York City.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fascinating to me. I mean, it's wonderful to me because, one, they can get the longer tees and flat tees and everything else. So from that perspective, I'm just happy to have them there and residents. We all sort of like the higher fees and
Yeah, I have a lot of my friends that play golf, pick out maybe 10 courses for a calendar year and try to hit all 10 courses, and, either courses they just love or haven't played before. And I think Makefield hits that for a lot of players. Agreed.
And the demographic seems to hit well in the sense that like we're kind of a neutral spot, like if groups are someone from Glenside or someone's from, Jersey or New York, like, oh, I'm coming 35 minutes east, I'm coming 35 minutes south, and it's kind of a neutral central spot for a lot of people. So that are, obviously not our residents, but, we always want to have our residents know of, the golf course and have access for sure. But I think, when you start looking at the tee sheet and you look at the use and the percentages, it's 70-30, 80-20 over, consistently. But that's why I think when we look at not just the reporting here, but then just the no-show policy, things that are happening if customers are booking 4, showing with 2, consistencies of that, sticking, we've changed that philosophy in the last 2 years because of the demand of the tee sheet. Our residents really, and we encourage our residents to take advantage of that extra 7-day window. That's a huge advantage, to have 21 days to pre-book versus a non-resident having 14. And part of it is training the customer too. We always tell the players, listen, if you can get the time, get the time. Just like we were trying to get a reservation, a really, nice restaurant, but just make sure you modify that time if it's not going to work. So really encourage that. So we would really want to emphasize that to our residents too. Like, get your profile updated. Let's get you accurate. Get you that extra 7 days to book because, we're seeing that, customers are, really, really anxious to get on this tee sheet as quickly as can. And that's a good thing. That's a good problem.
These are all good questions. And to put a little bow tie on some of this is the partnership with Metolius and really smart people that we're dealing with and trying to help us through some of these processes. We also partnered last year with Notify. And what Notify does, Alan, I'm sure you're aware, that's another really group of smart young people that have an app where they reach out, we develop a waiting list. And when there's a cancellation on a Saturday morning at 8:00, that people are immediately notified that get on the wait list, and those times are filled up rapidly.
Yeah.
So it's a fail safe. It's a quick save of those lost revenue tee times early in the mornings or quick turnaround spots. So we're doing those little things and trying to partner with smart people to help us get through this tee.
Yeah, and the customer can put in the profile of the time that you would typically play and what your window what you would prefer. So if there's, like Kevin said, there's a cancellation within your window, and there's instead of you trying, oh, did I go on the tee sheet today? You get pinged, and then helps you to potentially book a time.
To that point, Ed, can we prioritize residents in that notify process to say they get first bite of the apple?
That I'm not sure of because I think they do it randomly.
Well, they pull 10 people at a
Yeah,
time and
yeah.
they don't do
They
that.
don't.
James, it goes out as just a blanket text message.
Yeah,
everybody.
Yeah, I don't think they can.
You can't
some-
differentiate
for
somebody
think
who's a
they
resident.
can. Yeah, I
Okay.
don't think they can.
The other question I had to the
ahead.
POS that you spoke of, I think that you and I have spoke of this before. Does this now allow capability of taking other payment sources on golf from like the cart person out on the course?
Yeah.
Did it open it
Yes.
up to that? Okay.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
It
Yeah.
does
More consistently.
fit that need
Yeah.
that we've had.
Okay.
Yes, we'll be much more technology sound.
Yeah, more
on the-
proficient.
on the
Ha-
back part.
Have you guys looked at I think we talked about this as well. Have we looked at the Venmo option as well out on the carts? Like if you guys set up a Venmo,
We are
link it?
going through that, some PayPal and some Venmo
Okay.
options right now, but we are credit card accessible on the carts as of
Okay.
now. And we don't really have any membership accounts, but so credit card available at the moment.
Venmo's all the rage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Young kids.
You got it.
And accurate, you know.
Oh yeah, that's
the
nice
other
too.
key.
Moving on to food and bev, we just had Valentine's dinner Jenna put together with Mark, Chef Mark. It was a intimate evening. It was a small crowd, but from everything I heard, the food was wonderful. Service was up there, and I think we had a couple, maybe Rick, I think you attended. So all in all, my feedback was very positive for the event. It was just a little small. If anybody has any feedback or anything I could take back to Jenna and Chef, I certainly will. But a good evening. We're going to keep trying to have events like that. Smoke and Oak, Valentine's dinner. We're going to keep trying to, see what hits. And, we have a really nice, we have a really good chef back there that could probably do more than he's doing right now. We're just trying to find those pockets of where it works best. So, 3 banquet events in January. Obviously the weather disrupted most of them. The timing of the weather and the snow coming in throughout January and February has kind of been disruptive to happy hours and trivia nights and all the different things we've done. But 3 banquet events in January all went off really well.
If I can interject one. I will say with the trivia, we had Jenna and the bar staff had 24 last Thursday. So,
Mhm.
this is week 2 of it. And there were a couple pockets that came back and we had a couple calls like, are you guys open? Are you still going to do it? So, I think as consistently as we can to Kevin, as Kevin's mentioning, just wanted to bring the committee up. It was a nice night.
Absolutely. So food and bev, this time of year, a little slow with the weather and the traffic, but we'll pick up in a blink here coming shortly. Marketing and advertising, your standard social media work we're doing. And as we put together on the restaurant side, we did some karaoke too. That'll take a little time to grow. But the happy hours and trivia nights are still working and slowly evolving. So that's good. If anyone has seen the Yardley Voice, just came out. That's our Fred Seabright on the cover. Fred, through some of my work, we're trying to gain national notoriety. To our knowledge, Fred is the oldest person in the PGA of America who's passed the PAT. He's 77 years old and passed the PAT at 77. So he was in a group of 30 other people and a couple other passed it. The other 2 people that passed it were not older than 22. So Fred is aspiring in his retirement to become a PGA professional, to teach golf. He loved the military aspect of PGA Hope and different events that we are involved with, and kind of jumped in with both feet last year, passed his PAT, which is really impressive. 36 holes, same day. It was really a nice job. So he wrote a letter about senior golf, loneliness, and the need and willingness to get out there and meet people and play golf and take lessons and enjoy the game. So that's all in here. So this should come to your homes, I believe. Or if not, we'll have a few extra
definitely
in the
grab one.
clubhouse. It's a really pretty neat article on Fred. We let you, behind the curtain a little bit. So, and when you see Fred, say hi and say congratulations, because every day when I see him, I say it. I said, you've got to pass your PAT. Congratulations. So, and if you talk to a lot of young aspiring golf professionals, PAT is not an easy thing for a lot of them.
No.
And it's not something to be taken lightly. So I think Fred only took one before, maybe.
One before in his second round, I believe, was 74.
So
he's been a dear friend and obviously I've been fortunately to be at Makefield for 15 years. Fred's been, you know, kind of a customer for many of those years and a student, and kind of a mentor on the side to me. But now he's kind of leaning on my shoulder. So it's amazing how it's coming the other direction. But as Kevin said, it's just a great story. He's a great human being, and he's been through a lot like we all have, but certainly he's in his later year of his life and just wants to pay it forward. And he's doing it through golf, and it's really cool. And to kind of be around him and you listen to him coach, and kind of if you've overheard him on the tee or on the range, he's pretty exuberant and gets excited about it because he loves helping people. So it's just, so I think he turned it into, hey, listen, you know what? Might as well get up and do something. I can get through this PJ stuff pretty quickly. He's always had some talent as far as, you know, athletic genes. So clearly that was something that, that came easily to him, but that's from passion and just loves this game. So, so great to have him on board.
Little human interest marketing, which always helps. We didn't teach the grip that's in the picture. Just keep that in mind. And then moving on to the capital update, you see a layout of the bar plan there. So truth be told, I think there was a little misstep and maybe we jumped the gun in starting the bar work. We got our Board of Health approval permit, and then we had, you know, previously had capital approved and had some conversations with the staff. And I think maybe we went a step early. So we are working with Derek and Dave at the township staff. We're doing a great job and are incredibly helpful in navigating with us through this. So, you know, we're going to, in the end, you know, fix the plumbing, which was the issue, which wasn't the code. So that had to happen. And they let us go last year because we had plans of doing this a year ago that never really got off the ground. So they gave us time with that code. So now this year it's something that we had to do. So if you look at the layout, it's just going to update the bar. It's going to give you a real bar top. It's going to match the other addition we did on the other side of the building last year. It'll aesthetically match. It'll centralize the beer taps. It'll make it more efficient for the staff to get through both sides of the bar. And it'll almost double the seating. So a little ROI there that we're looking to actually have people be able to kind of sit at the bar as groups, you know, a few groups at tea times be able to sit at the bar. So it's something that needs to be done from the plumbing standpoint, and aesthetically it'll help a great deal. But like I said, we're working with Derek and Dave at the township to help us navigate through some of the co-stars of it all and ordering the equipment and making sure that is all done properly. So, you know, once we get moving on that, you know, we'll talk to the township next week and get all our approvals in order. But that should move pretty quickly once we're ready to go, and then we'll be in good shape there. So any questions there? I would say April 15th. So, you know, we have the manpower and the plan in place, and we're ready to go.
Did we move any of food onto that bar area? Because that was talked about on the turn. You were going to put stuff behind the bar.
Right.
Conversations about putting some of the food that you serve behind the bar to make it easier.
So yes, perfect, Colin. Thank you. So when you look in the restaurant now, that back wall, as you make the turn, as you go down the walkway to make the turn, there's the tables of the condiments, there's the coolers, there's everything in that corner and on the wall. That is all going behind the bar. That's all going away. So that should give us more seating, more square footage to use. The hot dogs, that junk wall is disappearing. That will now become, for food deliveries, a clear pathway through. Hot dogs will go behind the bar, and all the snacks and everything will go behind the bar as well. Yes. So yes.
Do you have any kind of picture rendering of what it's going to look like? Obviously, the blueprint
Right.
shows that, and the numbers mean certain things on
Sure.
it that we don't have that legend.
Right. That goes to equipment that's not finalized. So I didn't want to share that just yet, but that goes to equipment. So I don't have a 3D vendor. I could get one. I could try to get one for you. I don't have that capability or the access to that. I mean, but what I can show you as soon as it's approved and everything is good is the refrigeration. Ideally, there's high refrigeration on both ends that will take care of beer and wine on both sides. And then there will be underneath refrigeration as well. The bar tap moves to the center from the left.
That'll be
It'll
10
move.
taps,
Yeah, it'll be 10 taps that move
I
to
think
the
right
center.
now we have 7, so I think we're going
Yeah.
to be getting 10.
So
in the
that'll
middle.
move to the center. It'll be more symmetrical,
Yeah.
and we get larger and bigger TVs across the top.
Across the
The
top
way
of that.
the way it'll be set up, as you see there on the top of the diagram. So there's a lot of upgrades there, but I don't have a rendering that I can share with you, but I can get one.
That would be awesome.
Right.
I think it'd be great to see what it's gonna look like,
For sure.
for everybody.
With your new tap system, you're gonna be able to have more beer on tap.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How many beer?
We have 7 currently, so I believe we're going to 10. So we'll have 3 more tap lines. You know, and we'll obviously still have the CO2. I think it's well, we have a glycol system in place down there. And I know I think it's Main Street Beverage kind of does a lot of the service for us. I don't know. I know we have the we have Guinness on one side, so we do have a nitrogen and CO2 line in there as well. But then and the glycol has definitely made a huge difference to keep everything cold, extremely cold, you know. So, but yeah, it'll be centered in that mirror that was existing behind the stacked liquor bottles. Will still kind of be there, and like as Kevin said, refrigeration on either side, tall, and then some refrigeration on the bottom because they were all kind of a Pepsi cooler was on this side, and then there was another one on this side, and then there was the wine back in the corner, and then so I think we're talking about everything will be kind of centralized, and for the staff to have that entry point behind the bar as you're going towards the restrooms, that'll be a big help to kind of be able to swing that window open and walk back. Because right now it's just kind of you get back there as mostly everyone's been there. You see one person, you're trying to shimmy behind there. It gets tight, things slip, accidents happen. So a little bit more service room there too, to have, you know, if it's a dishwasher bringing glasses or whatever that might be. I mean, there's always mats on the floor, but just to have more room is the key, along with everything else. So.
Yeah, this is not, you know, it's efficient and reasonable. It's not over the top, but it's efficient and reasonable. And then, you know, the biggest part to me is the bar top and things like that, you know, you can peel away and see some water damage and stuff just because it's not an actual bar, you know? So that's what we're going to move to. And we're looking forward to doing that just once we get our ducks in a row. But like I said, working with talking to Derek every day at the township and Dave, probably every other day to catch up with my conversation with Derek. It's all going in the right direction, and we should be moving on that pretty soon.
And last thing just to touch on is, not to bring it back to beer here, but when the tap system was installed a number of years ago, Colin, we had the existing walk-in in the kitchen. Since that was replaced with a refrigeration and freezer unit that was outsized and it was enclosed, that existing walk-in went down in the cart barn, and that held or has been holding the kegs down there, and it kind of runs through the floor. So that's an old unit. So that keg cooler is on the docket to be replaced, or the original, because it was original walk-in. It was just basically, you know, we took that one from upstairs, brought it downstairs, and has been functioning, and we've had it serviced, but it's long overdue to get replaced. So that's in the dockets as well. So when you see a walk-in replacement, it's referring to the beer cooler downstairs.
I think and you said you think you're gonna be ready by April 18th, huh?
I mean, that's
Point-
the goal. Mhm.
Yeah, but I mean, when you think about it right now, you're proposing 4 TVs up there, 10 taps. I mean, we should be publicizing this for March Madness, that it may be one of the best spots in town to go watch the games.
Right. We want to make sure we get all our.
As long as we get
I
it.
got
yeah.
that.
right.
But if
That's
if
right
you
around
look like
St.
you're on
Patrick's Day,
target
yeah.
for that, I mean, what better way to kind of open up that new bar?
Yeah, I mean, it's, there's no question, as we
Right.
said, it's just all about timing. And we know that, you know, certainly you got Masters weekend early in April. So we'll just have to see how timing goes, you know, with everything going through. But yeah, the sooner the better, for sure.
Just a small question about the the drawing, the 3 feet, 36-inch customer activity aisle. Is that behind the bar stools and where the high tops are? 'Cause the way it's rendered, it looks like there's gonna be a 3-foot space between where the bar stools are and the bar.
Oh, we see
Oh.
right here.
think it shows, I think the stools would be up against the bar and this is.
Right. Yeah, and there's gonna be some flooring that goes down on that, about that length.
So those stools that are there, that's basically all the high top. That's just so where the high top is, high top. Okay. Thank you.
And I believe that's all we have.
Thank you.
I have a question on the capital expense. We were gonna get the sonar results of the lake. Did that come in?
Not as of yet.
Not as of yet. Okay.
When was that?
That was done at the late January.
3 weeks.
Mhm.
How were the last 3 days? Do you have players out there? Today, probably.
Yeah, Sunday was, Joe was running Sunday. We had 120. Monday, we had I had 55 on Saturday, believe it or not.
About the same today.
And it's about the same today. I have 120 tomorrow. So yeah, we're going to hit numbers probably within 4 days. Yeah.
Range is open?
Yeah. As best we can. Yep.
And the cart picker's working?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, we, have to keep charging up all these batteries, but,
right.
but yes, yeah, it's been running. Yeah.
Anything else from the committee?
Five names.
Okay.
There's like a brochure.
Got it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Committee, we are behind in minutes. I'm behind in minutes. So with the turnover of a few folks and now Rick taking notes, I will get caught up by the end of next, in March.
Fair enough.
Motion to adjourn.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion made.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Next meeting is the last Monday in March, 24th. I believe I will be in California. So whoever is our vice chairman, I don't remember, is it you? Rick? Okay, I'll talk to him. With any luck, Tori, we'll see.